Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the Corner Bookstore. That's right, 2 corner bookstores in a row today. Yay! We just love promoting authors from around the world. We have a very special guest with us today, and before we bring him out, we're going to welcome the star of our show, Diane Floyd Boehm. Hello.
Hey, Dr. Jacalyn. It's fun to do back-to-back.
Twice in a day. I think today I'll be doing 8 shows, so check with me back then. But you're always welcome to join me on all the shows, Diane. We work so well together. So how have you been since I saw you and you were in your garden?
I'm doing great. I have a new book that's going to be released tomorrow, and the sun's shining a little bit. It's a little bit hot here in Texas, but staying dehydrated and thinking of new ideas for new books because that's what storytellers do.
Absolutely. Diane, tell us about your latest work.
My newest book is a children's book, a picture book, and it's Boomer, the Curious Bunny, and he just wants to explore the world. So it's perfect for children because what are they? Curious. So it's going to be really exciting. I think kids are going to love it.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to purchasing the paperback so I can talk all about it here on this platform. So congratulations, Diane.
Thank you.
We have a very special guest who is with us today as a result of a wonderful friend and person who sends many people to our platform, Mr. Mickey Mickelson. Thank you so much, Mickey. Our guest today is Gerry. Gerry is an award-winning author of Meth, Murder, and Amazon. He's the father of 5, a Navy veteran, cybersecurity expert, and tattoo enthusiast. Okay, we have how many shows right there?
I know, exactly.
He's going to have to come back and see us on our other shows as well. Let's welcome Gerry to the program. Hello.
Hey there, how are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to hear more about what you're doing, especially all these areas that you have expertise. I love it. Which one of them is the most important? I mean, we're on the Corner Bookstore, but when you think about all the things that you do and you've done, what is the thing that really brings you the most passion?
I think being a father, honestly, I have 5 kids. We actually just had our most recent one last November, and my oldest is going to be 18 this year. So, lots of children, lots of influence that I have in their lives. So just making sure that they're on the right path and doing things the way that they're supposed to be doing them. So I think being a father definitely led me to being an author as well. It's amazing the influence that we have as fathers as well as mothers, on our children.
Absolutely. And it's interesting as a father, the title of this particular book that you chose. I can't wait to hear more about it. But as someone who has 5 children and has expertise in cybersecurity and other areas, how did you actually carve out time to write?
So I pretty much just, anytime I had some free time, that's when I just decided to write. And so, I had a situation at work that kind of led me to being, writing a book, even in general. That was never the plan or an ambition I had in my life. But I had this situation that happened to me while I was trying to sell my house. And so that it just kind of spitballed from there.
There you go.
There you go. It's always something that's that causes us to think about something else. Diane, what were you going to say?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for your service because that means a lot to all of us Americans. So thank you. Secondly, I have 5 brothers. So I want to
Oh,
compliment you because not many people will have a large family. And growing up in large family was exciting. You don't get everything you want, but that's okay. It's better because you learn real life skills. And I can just say your kids must be so lucky that and I'm so impressed that you said the most important thing is family. So I can tell you're a great dad.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a pleasure, and it's actually pretty awesome to see. My youngest daughter, she's 9 now, and so when I came out with the book a year and a half ago, she would actually create her own books, meth murder, and Amazon, or some other little variation, and be like, "Hey, I wrote this book. Come check it out, Dad." And I'm like, "Oh, this is so awesome! I never even expected like anything like that would happen." But kids are always watching, and they're always seeing what you're doing, and so the biggest role model you have as uh, parents is you.
That's true. That's
Very
absolutely
well
true.
stated. Yes. And also, I want to thank you for your service. I love when we have veterans who are coming onto this platform because they're so reliable, dependable. You always know that they're trustworthy and that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. So I'm just excited that you are now in our USA Global TV and radio family. So thank you, Joe.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure to come on these podcasts and these shows and just talk with new people and get to know.
Absolutely. So tell us about this latest book and what you want people to take away from it.
So my first book, Meth Murder and Amazon, is a true to life roller coaster of real estate. And so when I went to sell my first house, I probably had the world's worst home selling experience. It was my first house that I had sold. It was the first one that I bought. And along the way, there's a lot of craziness that happens. And so I try to keep the book as true to life as possible, but really infuse lots of humor into it. And so the story is basically a 6 month journey of me and my family trying to sell our house and move away to Florida. And so our house was in Colorado. We're trying to move to Florida to be closer to my mom, who actually got diagnosed with cancer at the time. And so as we go to sell our house, we actually have a real estate agent. He's the guy who sells me this house, and he just basically ghosts us. He flies the coop, right? Like he says he's in Colorado. He's actually not there. He's not marking our house. He's actually in a different state. He lives in Arizona. I don't know this, and so things start happening. He's supposed to send out flyers to the surrounding areas, and that doesn't work out. He's like, "Oh, it'll come out the next day, or it'll come out on Friday." 2 or 3 weeks pass. I'm like, "All right, this guy's not doing it for us." I found another real estate agent, and then that's when the craziness happens. And so we go to take a trip down to Florida, actually go visit my mom. We have an open house, and all of a sudden during the open house, the real estate agents, they come in, a little bit early to check the house, look for everything, make sure everything's tidy, and they go upstairs to the guest bedroom, and they see a leg hanging out from under the bed. They scream. I I kid you not, I can't make this up. They scream, they run out the house, they call the cops on me. I'm not in Colorado. I'm in Florida, by the way. And so they call the cops on me, and they actually say that I must have murdered somebody and hid the body under the bed, and that's really why I drove to Florida.
Oh,
They
oh.
called me. Yep, they called me, and they're like, "Hey, Gerry, there's someone inside the house. Did you know?" I'm like, "What do you mean there's someone inside the house? No one's supposed to be there." And she's like, "Yes, there's someone in the house, and they're hiding under the bed." And she's like, confirms, like, "Hey, there's no one supposed to be here, right?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." She's like, "Great, call the cops." Call the cops. Cops show up. They clear the area. Body's gone, right? So then they're like, "What the heck is going on?" I lose the open house. My wife is crushed. We're actually in Panera Bread when all this happens. And when I get this call, and so I tell her what happens, and she starts crying. She's like so upset. I'm like, I don't even know what to say, right? Like this is just crazy. 4 days later, I get another call, still on vacation, and the real estate agent was like, "Hey, by the way, while we were at the open house, we saw the body, but we were in your garage, and there was something burning in your garage, and it smelled like burning plastic." I'm like, "What do you mean it smelled like burning plastic?" I was like, "Well, something burning?" She's like, "Burning plastic means meth. And so we think you could be making meth in your garage, or someone could be smoking meth on the premises. And so we're going to need you to get a meth test done, or we're going to flag your house in the MLS for suspicious behavior." And I was like, "What? What do you mean? How do we go from someone's under the bed to now I'm like making meth in my garage?" I was like, "That's it. Like, you can just consider this in of our arrangement. Like, I don't want to deal with this." And so along the way, just all this craziness happens as I eventually try to sell my house and move away. But it's like the worst case of Murphy's Law you probably ever heard of.
You can't make this up.
It's
No.
like Breaking Bad sequel.
Exactly. And what's even funnier is, so I hadn't seen Breaking Bad at the time, and I told somebody about this when they called us, and they called the cops on us, and they're like, "Dude, that sounds like Breaking Bad." I was like, I've never seen it. I'm gonna watch it. And so I start watching it. I get to the scene where it's the open house. I'm like, "Yep, that's it." They must have watched Breaking Bad recently, and they're like, "Yeah, this must be like his evil twin or something." And so I was like, "Man, this is just nuts."
You know what's so ironic is that you have someone who's a veteran who follows all the rules, puts their life on the line for someone else, into a house where people are like not following any rules. And it's incredible. So what ended up happening, or is it in the book? I'm definitely buying the book, by the way, but don't give me the ending.
It's in the book, right? I mean, at the end of the day, right? We eventually go through multiple real estate agents, and so I always ask people like, "Hey, how many real estate agents does it take to sell a house?" Right? Sounds like a funny joke. Most people will say one, right? And it's like, you would think so, but that's not always the case. And so it actually takes us 3 real estate agents to eventually sell the house and move away. And so we are in Florida. We eventually sold the house. I didn't get arrested or anything like that. It was just this crazy situation. The lady that actually called the cops on me, she had been in my house. She had seen my family. Like, we had been around each other like 20, 25 times. And this is a nice house, right? Like, this is in the suburbs in Colorado. It's close to Denver. Maybe 15, 20 minutes away. And so like, it's not a meth house, right? Like, when you think meth house, right, it's like this janky house and like, a crappy area. And that's absolutely not the case. So I don't even know how I got from point A to point B to like completely down the road. But what didn't make it into the book is I actually went to talk to a lawyer about this. And I explained to them the situation that happened. And they're like, "No, they can't do this." They call the real estate agents up and they pretend like they had no idea who I was. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's this guy, the one that you accused of making meth." They're like, "Oh, okay, right." And they're like, "Come on, guys, you know who I am." They talked to him, and apparently in Colorado, because methamphetamine is such a epidemic there, like it's just everywhere, that if a real estate agent even suspects that there's meth on the premises, it's well within their right to request that you do anything, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I was pretty surprised when I heard that. I was like, so you can just pretty much, slander me and defame my name, and it doesn't even matter. There's no like recourse of action for them. I'm just the one that gets, basically dragged through the mud.
Wow,
Oh
that's
my
terrible.
goodness. I'm so sorry. I had never heard of what you're saying. I got to get out more, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just stay behind the green screen.
It's kind of surprising because Colorado is very liberal, so I wouldn't think they would have that stringent of a rule.
Well, yeah, now like I'm pretty sure the laws, right? Like, they're trying to decriminalize some of the more hardcore drugs and stuff. So maybe, I was just at the wrong place in the wrong time. If it would have been this time, they'd be like, "Oh, no big deal."
Yeah, well, now you're in Florida enjoying the heat wave.
Away from everything.
Oh, it's hot. It's always hot.
Diane, I don't even know if you know this, but I had a real estate license for a very short time. I was doing it part-time, and I hated it. I did one open house. It was freezing cold. I had my high heeled shoes on. No one showed. It was a disaster. I was like, I don't know how people do this. So I give them credit, but it sounds like you have to really be careful who you're working with.
Absolutely. And so, in the book, I actually liken the real estate agents to assassins, right? Assassins have to hire. They have things that they have to do, right? Ultimately, they're trying to get paid and close the deal. And so I use a lot of satire in my book. So I use a lot of humor, but I'll definitely, refer to them as assassins because they assassinated my character. They assassinated my family. And so I was like, this could be pretty funny. And so, I use humor a lot in the books, and I really try to do something different that probably a lot of authors haven't done or wouldn't even try to do. And so that was kind of part of the reason that I even started writing in the first place, was like, hey, if I'm going to do this, right, like, why not create something unique?
And that you have. Before this, did you consider yourself a funny person?
I mean, I felt like so. I'm always joking around with the kids and with my wife, and we always, have a good time. We always like watching comedy shows. And so, I was always the kid in school. I was always cutting up and joking around, but I always got my schoolwork done. I had a really high GPA. And so I felt like school was pretty easy for me. And so I would joke around. I would get all my homework done before school was even out. And then my friends would be like, "Hey, what's the answer to this?" I'm like, "Nope, I got stuff to do. I got to go play basketball or sports." And so I was even that kid, right? Whenever you go to school, you have to do book reports and stuff. You got to read these books. I don't got time for that. I got too many sports to play. I got friends to hang out with. So I'm just going to watch this movie and write this book report. And so I did that a lot.
I love it. I have never written anything that was very funny. Diane, have you?
No, I leave that to my husband.
That takes a different kind of skill set, I think. But do you have your book there that you could read for us?
I do have it. Man, what part shall I read?
I don't know, make us laugh. I could use a good laugh today.
I should have something bookmarked here so I know what to read at what specific time.
Yeah, just read any part. We're just interested to hear it.
All right, I'll read chapter 6. This is the interview. So as part of this, trying to sell my house and move away, I actually did go to the news. I was like, hey, this situation happened. You guys want to hear the story, right? And so, of course, they're like, absolutely, we want to hear this story. And so this part is from chapter 6, titled The Interview. So it goes, it's been a painstaking process getting attempt number 3 ready for liftoff. Wasting time, wasting money, wasting away. Each passing day delivers a devastating blow of lost opportunity. It doesn't seem right. Life's not fair, is it? Is anyone else thinking the real criminals are Slashosaurus Max? They assassinated Mr. Drake's character with intent and premeditation. How did Slashosaurus Max get off the hook so easily? The Grakes are victims of a serious miscarriage of justice. They can't do this to us. There are laws against this. There are, in fact, laws, but we'll get to that later. Mr. Drake's gears begin to shift, scheming and plotting his timely revenge. Revenge, a dish best served cold. Revenge, the sweetest morsel cooked up in the depths of hell. Threats, coercion, and other strong-arm tactics employed by Slashosaurus Max sought to destroy the Grakes with bogus meth testing and accusations of felonious guilt. Slashosaurus Max should be disbanded and splashed to smithereens. Mr. Drake devises a plan, an ingenious, crafty plan. An epiphany of method proportions strike Mr. Drake's dilapidated brain. The news. What if we go to the news? With this story, the trumped up murder charges, the aromas of burning plastic, the child's body under the bed, even the dreaded jelly bean disease, all of it. We've got sympathy on our side as well as truth. What could go wrong? As they say, all news is good news. Sounds like a great idea.
Wow.
What is a jelly bean?
So, whenever we found out that my mom had cancer, she had a small tumor. And so they're like, hey, it's the size of a jelly bean. And so I was like, perfect. This is going to be jelly bean disease. And so that's what I decided to go with, to say, hey, my mom's been diagnosed with jelly bean disease, and then can kind of make light of it. And so you'll go through the book and you'll see jelly bean disease. And I had one person read the book and I'm like, what is this jelly bean disease? I actually researched it and looked it up, and I've seen like so many things that it could be. And I go on to tell them, right, like it's a small like tumor on my mom's lung, like it's early stage cancer, so she'll be fine. She was fine. She went through like a small round of chemo and she was completely fine.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Great news. How did you feel when you were reading that? Does it all come back to you?
It does. And so sometimes people have me read it, sometimes not. And so you would think I'd be prepared, but I was like, I'm just going to wing it. And that's usually what I do. And so I'll just pick a page and turn to it. But I definitely remember going through the interview. If you go on my website, you'll see the book trailer. That's actually pulled from the interview that I did with Denver 7 News. So Google my name, not my pen name, but my actual name. You can find the news article still out there in Denver 7 News about my filming experience.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gerry. We're going to take a quick break and hear from one of our VIP sponsors. It's Diane Floyd Boehm. Yay. And then we'll come back, Gerry. We're going to take a look at your website. And then if you'd like to read another passage from your book, that would be fantastic. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll do some research while we're on this break.
All right, great. Here we go. USA Global TV and Radio presents international award-winning author, speaker, educator, Diane Floyd Boehm.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this special edition of the Corner Bookstore, USA Global TV. And we're talking with the co-host of the Corner Bookstore, Diane Floyd Boehm today, who is herself an author of many books, not just children's books, but also books for adults. Diane, welcome to the Corner Bookstore.
everyone should have their own library. Even children should start developing their library and know that what happens in a garden, it grows. And I want their library to grow. And never ever get rid of a book, because what you might have enjoyed as a child reading and having lovely memories of your parents reading as you get older, you'll grow to cherish those books in another way. My specialty is to help people realize that we are all storytellers, and that if you have this yearning to get this story out, but you don't know how to get started, I want to be the person that you can come to, you can feel comfortable with. I'll learn your personality. We'll just go and have itty bitty baby steps, just like in my book, A Time to Fly. Before you know it, the young new author is ready to fly to and go to super professional coaches.
Diane's books are available now at DianneFloydBain.com. Charlie and the Tire Swing, How It Began. A Time to Fly. A Song of Peace. Rise, a Girl's Struggle for More. Harry the Camel. The Little Girl in the Moon. The Little Girl in the Moon, Moxie and Tycho Town. Moon League Adventures, The Serengeti.
And I'm saying, go for it.
Well, we're back here on the corner bookstore at USA Global TV and Radio. Let's welcome back our star of our show, Dianne Floyd Bain. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Jacqueline.
Hi, and thank you for your sponsorship. And by the way, our guest has a nice comment for you in the private chat, but I know you don't have your glasses on to see it. Let's welcome back our guest, GS Gerry. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Gerry.
Thanks for staying with us through the break.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick look at your website, because I think it's always important for people to see exactly how they can get in touch with you and exactly what it is that you offer. So let's go over here. I have this pulled up. Let's take a look at your homepage. And so for anybody who's listening on the radio, what we're looking at is the website GS Gerry. So it's GSGERRY.com. Okay, Gerry, where would you like us to go over here?
Yeah, so this kind of first page that you're showing, this, hero graphic, this is a video that I kind of created for, kind of let viewers know, hey, what are you going to get into? This book is a lot of laughs. Both of these books are a lot of laughs. I have a new book coming out in September, Hysterical Hangouts with the Hind Legs, and so that's why you have a book in Kerbeck. But my stories are pretty unbelievable, right? The first one is definitely nonfiction. I try to keep it very, very true to the actual events that happened. The second one is certainly fiction. So it was unbelievably true. Now it's unbelievable stories, because can't do true whenever the second one's fiction. If you scroll down just a little bit further, there's a roller coaster. This first book is certainly a roller coaster. I actually include details of roller coasters, right? And so I'll bring you on board what I like to call the method coaster, right? Because it's meth, murder, and Amazon. And so you get on a roller coaster, and I'll actually add in the sound effects as you're reading the book. Click, click, click. You go off the roller coaster. Boom, you go down, and something crazy happens. Then the roller coaster's full of twists and turns. loops, ups and downs, and so that's really how the book kind of unfolds. So this roller coaster here, you can buy all the links to the book. A little bit further down is the book trailer. So as I was saying earlier, this is the actual interview that I kind of edited and animated for a trailer specific purposes, but this is the actual interview that I had with them. So,
Would you like us to take a look at it?
yeah, you can play it.
Okay, here we go.
Realtor to sell his house. Well, the house didn't sell, and the realtor accused the man of murder and making meth.
Well, he's now sharing his story with 10%.
It was a nightmare.
My wife's sister was house sitting for us while we were on vacation. I get a call from my real estate agent about, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right around the same time the open house is supposed to happen. And she's like, Gerry, there's someone in the house. Do you know there's someone in the house? I'm like, excuse me? And then they go up into the guest bedroom, and they said that they see a leg under the bed, and they just ran out the house. That they told the cops that we must have murdered one of our children and hid the body under the bed, and that's why we drove to Florida.
When police officers arrived, they searched the home. The story, however, continues when his agent called 4 days later.
No. That, when we were walking through the house, we smelled something that smelled like burning plastic or could be burning rubber in your garage. And so we think that someone could be smoking meth in your house, and possibly you guys could be making meth in the garage. Yeah.
Instead, we reached out to Remax Revolution, who confirmed calling police after believing they saw a leg, but would not comment further.
Amazing.
Wow, I am totally blown away by that video that you put together. How did you do that?
So I recorded the original video before I got pulled on. So this is in the book, but when I was on the interview, right, I'm getting excited. It's about to get released. It comes out and it's live on the air for about a day. And so again, I'm trying to right some wrongs here, get my revenge. And that basically blows up in my face. They actually have my new current real estate agent's sign in the videos. And so people actually get the number and they start calling my new real estate agent. It's a different real estate company, but they call them anyway, and they start cursing her out, saying like, how could you do this to this family? And so she calls me the next day and she's like, you have got to take this down. And so I call the news station and I'm like, hey, can you edit this specific frame out? They're like, nope, we can't touch any on-air broadcast. Once it's up, it's up. If you need an edit, it's coming down. And so they got taken down less than 24 hours after I was on there.
Wow, and did you have the skill set and the knowledge already to make this animation?
So I want to say I used like iMovie or some kind of video editing app, but I definitely didn't. I just kind of played around with it, and it's kind of the story of why I'm here in the first place, right? I'm just trying to do something different, and so like I looked for a couple of filters, and I was like, no, I don't like that. And I was like, what if we went kind of like an animated look, but you can tell it's a real video? So hopefully it kind of comes through that this is a true news interview, but I was trying to keep it a little bit different, and that's why I kind of do it.
You did great. You did great.
Job. I really applaud you for that. Is
But I have to ask him. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Jackson. No, so was the leg a doll?
The leg is 100% a leg. There was a body under the bed. I don't want to spoil any surprises for anyone to read it or listen to the audiobook, but there was 100% somebody under the bed, hiding under there, and it's actually pretty hysterical when you find out who it is.
Oh my goodness. Because I know my kids have walked in a room before and my daughters were playing a trick on the other one and they made it where all you saw was like this leg of the doll.
It is funny that you mentioned a baby doll, because there's another part in the book when we're actually leaving Colorado to go see my mom in Florida. I get pulled over by the cops, and I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything illegal. And they actually pull me over and they're like, we saw a baby in the front seat that was completely unstrapped, not in a car seat. Mind you, my youngest kid at this time, let's see, 2019, so 4 years ago, is 5 years old, right? So I don't have any infants. I only have 4 kids at the time. And so I'm literally showing them around the cabin of my truck and I'm like, hey, there's no babies here. The kid you saw is 9 years old, right? Like she's certainly grown. And so they're like, well, we saw a baby up here, blah, blah, blah. So then there's actually a baby doll that got thrown as they're like looking into the car as I drive by. And so my car is actually all black. It has a dark chin, it has black rims. And so I'm thinking that they're like, oh, this is like, a drug dealer's car or something like that. I can't imagine what they think, but they pull me over because my vehicle looks suspicious, even though I'm not speeding. So they look around, they're like, well, your tint's too dark. You're going to need to get that done, but we're going to give you a break. I was like, these jerks, right? Like cops don't have anything better to do than pull somebody over. And this is like 7 o'clock in the morning. And so they had set up a speed trap on the highway. I saw them plenty of time down the road. And so, I lowered my speed and just drove by. I'm like, we're good. And then sure enough, they pulled me over and I was like, man, I can't do this. And so, yeah, it was pretty funny.
Oh my goodness. You have enough content here to just be a full-time focus writer on these things that have happened to you. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you scroll down just a little bit further on
Yes.
the website, the next one is the behind the scenes. I believe, yeah, behind the scenes.
Oh, I see. I think, hold on. I think I have to go on full screen. There we go. Okay.
Yep. And so this is some of the behind the scenes. I like to call it behind the scenes, but those are some of the awards that I've won. This for sale is it was a mock-up for a back cover. So the cover designer is actually a friend of mine who's also a tattoo artist. And so these two covers right here, he actually designed those. And so we did win an award for best cover last year as well. And so these photos here, these are actually included in the book, but I didn't include all the photos here. So there's actual photos in the book, actual evidence, photographic evidence that, hey, this really did happen. This really is a real story. Even though it sounds made up and it sounds like fiction, it's 100% real. So that's pretty much it. From a website perspective, right? Like you can scroll down and you'll see like more about me. But I also have, so at the top you see Meth Lab Creations, right? Someone might be like, what's that? Well, I actually like to cook. I like to cook with my family. And so these are free recipes that I've created. And there's just random ones on there. I still have a blog, and it's just the appearances of different podcasts I've been on. But if you go down to like the recipes, it'll actually give you actual recipes. This is Gordon Ramsay's Eggs Benedict. I actually found a recipe for Eggs Benedict that Gordon Ramsay said, yep, make it like this. So I made it and it turned out really good. So I'm like, all right, I'll share that. And then the world's best stuffing, it is pretty great. I make that all the time for Thanksgiving, and so it's a little bit different, but I've never had anybody that said they don't like it, even people that don't like it.
Looks delicious.
I
So
see
what-
the cooking show.
Yeah, we're looking for another chef, so let me know.
All right.
I just love this whole website because it's so in alignment with, again, Breaking Bad. I didn't know anything about meth or any of these other things, but the terminology, the way you have it laid out, it's really genius.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I tried to play off it, right? I mean, if they said that I like make meth, right, might as well just kind of own it. And so that's kind of like part of the reason that I included some of this. And so, I thought it would be just a way to differentiate myself or kind of separate myself from some other authors out there. Because you might see this and be like, oh, Meth Lab Creations, right? This guy's literally giving us meth recipes. No, they're actually free recipes. But and then I have a blog too. Yep, there's the shop as well. And so I have just funny little. So I have my coffee.
I love it.
Yeah. So I again just try to play on the meth thing, and so I did have like my banner on my website used to be like mastering experiences through humor, which is like an anagram for meth. So
it's fantastic. Very creative.
Thank you.
Quit messing around.
Right. That's in the book a ton. Yep, I'll say that a lot. Quit messing around, the meth poster, a whole bunch of meth terms or meth phrases that, just seems like it could fit.
I have a question for you, just as one entrepreneur to another, and also Diane, entrepreneur. How was it for you creating these products and then putting them up for sale? Because that's a whole other line of business, right?
Yeah. So what I did is I actually have Shopify. This website is through WordPress. And so what I did is I went into Shopify and I tried to create products. Well, there's a couple of different like drop shippers that you can use. And so I went to Printify, Printful, and I just used them. And so I just tried to, like, I had ideas in my head of like what I wanted it to say, like, don't mess with me till I have my coffee. I'm like, hey, that's funny. Like people might like that. And so I just kind of use those platforms, and then you can use these extensions to put on your website. And so you click on it, add it to cart, and go pay, it actually directs you to Shopify, so it's not so. And so I thought it was fun. You know, I had my wife. She also likes to do like graphic design and stuff, and so some of these designs are some of the designs that she created, as well as the designs that my friend did for the cover. So kind of try to use that and just create something new.
I really do applaud you because it's really well done. And I know myself having 3 websites, nobody understands the amount of work that goes into it. And you really have differentiated yourself with what you put together here.
It definitely takes a lot of time. I'll say that. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of things. And if you have to make a change, right? Like I have this new book coming out, and so I'm gonna have to add another tab for my books, which I got to figure out how to do that. But there's also a blog, and so it's kind of fitting that we're here on Thursday. My blogs are pretty much about Thursdays. Everybody has that day of the week, right? Like, hey, something crazy happens, or like this is just the worst day. Like the sky falls every day on this day. That's Thursdays for me. Has been since I can remember when I got the call about making meth in my garage. That was on a Thursday. And so that's kind of how the blog was born. And so I'll share, funny stories that I have on here. There's also just different articles that I'll create. And so I've probably got like 15 or 20 blogs on here. I don't know for sure how many are on here, but I try to create them, every month or so at least, throw up a new one on there, or I have something crazy that happened. Like I'm going to write a story about that. And so if you want to know like how I became an author, there's actually one called The Bald Eagle Took Flight on a Thursday. It has nothing to do with bald eagles other than, it's kind of how I got my story as being an author. And so I try to, take that humor from my books and incorporate it into the blogs as well.
That's fantastic. So every Thursday there's a new blog?
Not every Thursday. I don't want to force myself to write one every Thursday, but I try to do it every couple of weeks to maybe a month, just depending on the time. Because kids are always doing something or busy or writing or something else. So.
And how can people sign up to read your blogs?
So if you just go to my website, gsgerry.com/blog, you can find the blog there. It's free, right? There's nothing that you have to sign up for. We do have a mailing list. I think the subscribe is at the bottom of each page. So you just type in your email and you'll just get notified if I drop a blog or
there you go.
Book coming out or something like that.
It's right there. Okay, I'd love to have you read something else for us.
All right. So since we're in the interview, I'll just continue with the interview. And so the gentleman who interviewed me in my book, since he messed up, he has been forever labeled Baron von Stupy. And so Baron von Stupy is the journalist who interviews me. So Baron von Stupy eloquently narrates as Mr. Great presents the interview of a lifetime. Full of grit and raw authenticity. For several minutes, Mr. Drake elaborates on all the startling details, from the murder to the meth to the dreaded jelly bean disease, interconnecting the dots and painting a nightmarish picture along the way. The camera pans out to the scene of the crime and its luxurious curb appeal. Cut and scene. The interview concludes, a suspenseful, melodramatic train wreck totaling a whopping 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Wow, shakes head in disgust. For all the opening, shutting, talking, and stair walking, you would think that the interview would fill up an actual 5-minute news segment. 5 minutes of fame should equal an actual 5 minutes, right? Nope, just more messing around. A measly 2 minutes, 18 seconds. From 2100 August the 21st on, Objective News 99 runs with Mr. Gregg's interview. It's on every broadcast at the top of the hour, every hour. Breaking news, the main event. This goes on, as you can imagine, for quite some time, playing on a loop for days, weeks even. You're fun. Travelogue, August 22nd. What did you just do? Mr. Gregg awakes bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to an excessive number of text message, missed calls, and random voicemails. What a success. He's done it. Cheers, Mr. Gregg. Take a bow for the audience. The crowd's going wild. Just stop it. Amongst the congratulatory text and long-winded voicemails exists a particularly peculiar text message and missed call, but no voicemail. In big, bold, capitalized letters, the text message reads, "What did you do?" It's pretty obvious what Mr. Great did. He took a metric aston of lemonades and turned them into took lemons and turned them into lemonade, concocting the perfect blend of sour and sweet necessary for lip pucker and smacktasticness.
Mr. Drake is back at it again, cooking in the kitchen, and the interview has been nothing short of monumental. A monumental, well, we'll get to that. I'll let you decide if it's a monumental success or something else entirely. So it continues on going about how the interview went, and thank you.
The book really pulls you in. It's like you can't wait to hear more. You think to yourself, what? This can't possibly be true. And then when you know it is true, it's like,
yeah,
crazy.
I try to really engage the readers too, and I'll like talk to them throughout the book. I'll use sound effects. I even have fun little rhymes. Like there's like London Bridges falling down, but I'll like switch the words around and I'll remix it. And so there's actual songs in there. It's just different, right? It's a truly unique experience.
It's very, very creative, as I mentioned. And I just wondered, in all seriousness, because this was very serious, what happened to you and your family, and were there repercussions, mentally, emotionally, from going through an event like this?
Oh, there was definitely some mental stuff that went on for sure. Because every time I would go up into the bedroom, I'd be like, man, I can't believe this happened. Like all the things that we've gone through, right? And so when we're selling the house, it's actually, a really hot seller's market. Every real estate agent we talked to was like, yeah, 30 days it should sell. And so it goes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, right? And it's still on the market. And so I certainly get defeated, but I try and stay pretty positive throughout the whole process. Like, hey, this thing happens, and like I'll be upset, sure, for like a couple of days, but then I'll get over it. And so I think it's a good learning lesson for my kids as well. Like, hey, bad things are going to happen all the time. There's a reason the saying is, bad things happen to good people, which is true. Like I did nothing wrong. I wasn't even in the state when a lot of this stuff happened. But sure enough, like perception is reality in a lot of the cases. And so it's because someone perceived that there's a dead body under the leg. Oh, that must be true. There's a dead body under the bed. And so they call the cops on me, and I had to deal with that, and it wasn't fun, I will say that. But looking back on it, I mean, it makes for a really funny story. And so I sold my house November of 2019, and I was actually texting a friend of mine like shortly after I sold it, and he's like, "Dude, I still can't believe that happened to you." And this is how the title was born. I was like, "Meth Murder on Amazon." A story so unbelievable it can only be true. And so like we laughed about it, and then I actually did end up writing it. And so it's funny kind of how that all worked out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of a kind, that's for sure. And to your point, people make judgments without having all the facts. I'm just thinking, why didn't anyone go and assess what was going on with the body? Like, why didn't someone go under, like, take some pictures?
Hey, who's under there, right? Say something, not just scream and run out the house.
I see you.
Right.
Like you're a bad hider.
Right. It's crazy. Like one action and the reverberations and the impact to other people. It's
huge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it wasn't the funnest thing to go through, but I mean, I did learn a lot. And so even in the book, like I'll teach you about staging, different processes of selling the house, price decreases, price increases, anything in between. So if I went through something and I felt like it was valuable, I would share that, but it's not your traditional nonfiction story, right? Nonfiction is really there to like teach you something or like bring something that you're going to learn from it. To be fair, you're going to learn, but you're going to laugh a whole lot too. And so it's just different.
Thank you. Well, we have you on Spotlight. Tell us about the next book that's coming out.
Absolutely. So the next book is another new invention. I created a reality show that's book. And so it's a true to life reality show. And as you go along, the main character is dating his girlfriend, and he's got to meet the parents. And so everybody's gone through this before, right? You date your girlfriend, you go to meet the parents, fall in love, live happily ever after. Well, what happens when you meet the parents and she has 3 brothers and a lot of calamities happen? And so kind of, use my own stories as kind of a basis for this, but a lot of these stories are, embellished and, over the top. But it plays on the, essentially the worst stereotypes of being in a family, right? Whenever you think about, hey, boy goes to meet girl's dad, what's the dad doing, right? He's got a shotgun and he's cleaning the shotgun. Well, I'll take it a step further. And not only does he have a shotgun, but he has tons of guns, ammunition. There's like a blood-stained machete on the table, and he's etched the character's initials on one of the shotgun shells, and it's like super intimidating. And so every chapter is me, the main character,
spending time with my girlfriend and hanging out with one of her brothers or doing something with her dad. And so they're actually building a house at this time in a different part of Florida. And so I kind of take the readers through this actual reality show. Different characters will actually look at the camera and say something, or they'll look at the camera and make this look, and then something crazy happens. And so you think about all the crazy fun things about reality shows, it's all contained in the book. But at the end, right, I mean, it goes through a lot of different scenarios and things like that. But at the end, right, there's this big startling of revelation, and then it kind of ends. And so I left it open-ended. There could be a second one depending on how the book goes. My wife actually has 7 brothers and sisters. I kept this one only about the brothers. But again, right, this is fiction. This isn't real life. But it's fun. And so it's a reality show as a book.
Congratulations.
Yes, I was already laughing with you. That's so great. So when's that one coming out?
So that one's coming out in September, September 22nd.
Fantastic. Well, I am super excited that you are here today with us. I hope you'll come back maybe on our other shows, one of them Hot Topic. I'd love to talk about your tattoos as well. I'm always intrigued by people's tattoos. I started writing a book about it's only skin deep or something. I forget, but then I interview people with tattoos and then I didn't proceed with it, but I might revamp it. So
you should. Yeah. I have lots of tattoos. My wife has lots of tattoos. But yeah, my tattoos are meaningful, I will say. I just didn't get a bunch of random stuff. And so, I have full sleeve on this arm, and then I have a half sleeve on this arm. And so they're all meaningful. I have clocks on one of my arms, and they're each set to each of my kids' birthdays. Don't have one for the new baby yet because he was just born in November, but I plan to get another one.
Oh, congratulations. That's fabulous.
Thank you.
If you would please give your contact information. We went through your website, but for people who are just joining, how can they reach out to you? How can they purchase your books?
Absolutely. So my book, Meth, Murder, and Amazon, is on Amazon, right? Amazon decided to actually sell it. And I also have another book, Hysterical Hangouts with Hind Legs, also on Amazon. Meth, Murder, and Amazon is also on Barnes & Noble, Walmart, pretty much all your retailers, so you can find it. And you can reach out to me at dsgerry.com. I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and YouTube. And I think I also have Facebook as well.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and wish you continued success and lots of laughs.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. We hope to see you again.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Take
Bye.
care.
Oh my gosh, I just loved him and his stories, didn't you?
Absolutely. And I have family in real estate as appraisers and selling. I think they're getting that for Christmas. I don't know how they'll feel about being called an assassin, but we'll see.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. We have to be able to laugh, right? That's one of the most important things.
Absolutely. It was ingenious how he came up with everything. I'm sorry he had to go through all that, but sometimes, something good comes out of it. So there you go.
Absolutely. Diane, I watched Breaking Bad. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Of course, we're not paid spokespersons, but I watched Breaking Bad at least 6 times, the entire series, because I've been someone never done drugs. And I've always been kind of afraid of people doing drugs. I never went to parties. And I was so drawn in by the series of how this guy could be a school teacher and end up being this huge criminal. And I just love with Gerry, the way the book, it's so in alignment with the story in some ways. And I think it's going to be a huge, huge success because people are just drawn into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like you, Dr. Jacqueline. I was a goodie and still am a goody two shoes. Like home by 8:30 and lights out.
Follow all the rules.
Say my prayers.
Yeah, same thing. But that's what Gerry was saying. They followed all the rules.
Yeah, they did.
These things happened to them, and then they suffered in many ways, but yet able to take the situation and turn it into a positive, which is great. So
I know it's great, and his sense of humor is awesome. I was like giggling. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know those things. So I think our listeners are going to enjoy ordering this book. So
yeah, absolutely. I will be ordering it as well. And Diane, we have to sign off because the film and music show is coming up next, but please let people know how they can purchase your books and about your latest work that will be available in ebook tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. Thanks for listening, everyone. You can contact me at diannfloydboehm.com, DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. And email me. And so thanks, Dr. Jacqueline.
Thank you, Diane. Thanks to all of our viewers and our listeners. We're really happy to have you here. We'll be right back with the film and music show. Take care. Bye.
Bye.